You know what I just said to him? Because I said, I can't believe they let you in. He goes, what do you mean you don't think they're going to let me in? Hey, this is, I've known him since he was in high school. Larry Centers, Cardinals, NFL, SFA, Axum Jacks.
Axum Jacks.
And Tatum, let's get that up there. And Tatum High School, great.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a long time, man.
Are you on, and we've discussed this, if there's a bucket list of who can, as an athlete, in Phoenix, Arizona, pretty much get into anywhere you want to get into, are you on that bucket list?
I don't know. I've been going for such a long time now. I think, people have a tendency to forget. But there are a few faithfuls still left out there and people who know the history of the Cardinals who recognize my name immediately.
Well, I would say you and Aeneas Williams. You guys go. I saw him a second ago. Like you guys from that era, especially, you guys were the kind of the faces of that team. Maybe Eric Swan too with you guys, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the drawback is that we didn't win a lot of games. We played some good football and we had some great individual players. But for the most part, we didn't give the fans ultimately what they were looking for, and that was a winning product on the field.
Larry, are you doing a comedy thing tonight?
I am. How'd you know?
Jose Feliciano.
Okay.
I know Jose. He's a great friend of mine. In fact, he has my life insurance.
Okay.
And he had sent me a graphic and said you were a part of a production tonight doing a little comedy deal.
I am. Let's hope he doesn't have to pay out on that life insurance policy.
No.
But yeah, he's been a faithful attendee of the show. He's been there for a few years. We didn't do it the COVID year, but
right.
Jose has been there from the beginning, and I sincerely appreciate him for all his support that he's given us.
Paul does. He does comedy.
Okay.
Yes, I do. It's look, I don't know what it's like being a professional athlete, but I can tell you being a professional comedian is a tough gig. Like it's fun, but it's hard. It's hard work.
Is it true that you have to fail in order to succeed?
Very much so. Like, and you have to. When I first started out doing it, I had my first time I really bombed. And I was 22, and I was so depressed. I thought, that's it. I'm a fraud. It's all the magic is gone from me, right? I had this run, and it's over. And the comedian I was the headliner that night was a guy named Mo Alexander, and he said, dude, I bomb all the time. I do this 200 nights a year. They can't all be winners. They're not all good. You just have to know that you're funny and keep working at it and figure out where you messed up. So it is kind of like being, you drop a pass, you miss a shot, whatever it is, an athlete, and you just have to figure out what you did wrong. But, yeah, trying to figure out, where it went awry on a certain night, that's the hardest part because then you're like, man, they really hated me. So you have to get it into your head that, you know what, I don't care what they think. I'm going to go up here and do this, and I'll worry about what happened on the way back.
Yeah, well, hey, sounds a lot like football,
I was going to say, you performed in front of thousands of people. I mean, you've been in the spotlight, moments of having to do something in pressure situations.
Yeah, the key for me is just to focus on the task at hand, and all of the stuff kind of melts away. Everything around you, the crowd doesn't sound as loud the more you focus. So I think that's the key. In football anyway, I can't speak for comedy necessarily because I'm fairly new at it.
So you're back in town. You've got that event going on. What are you doing now?
Man, I'm doing as little as possible. I have a real estate portfolio that I manage, and that keeps me rather busy. I spend a lot of time with family. I'm a new grandfather, so that
congratulations.
Thank you. That's an exciting new chapter in my life. But I'm really just trying to just sit back and enjoy life, man. Enjoy my days and just grow as an individual.
Larry, there's a picture of you hurdling when you were with the Cardinals, and obviously an incredible dynamic running back when you played the game. Is it James Washington? Who are you hurdling with
I didn't catch his name, but no, I think it was Larry Brown.
Larry Brown. Yeah. Eventual Super Bowl MVP Larry Brown.
That same year. Yep.
Yeah. So there are running backs that come through and go that some guys can catch passes. We had Eric Kramer on yesterday and said Barry Sanders was terrible at it. You raised it to an art form. You kind of were the standard of how you run routes out of the backfield. Do you wear that as a badge of honor about how you maybe took that forward a little bit?
I do, especially now with the game, the evolution of the game, and how the backs are being utilized so much more in the passing game. I think the key for me was to excel at pass protecting that was a key piece of the thing that got me on the field. And once I was able to get on the field, then I had the opportunity to make some plays, and that's how it started.
And for you, like a lot of times with running backs, especially, when the game was much more run-centered than it was now, you had a couple of routes that you ran, right? It was just kind of, a screen, maybe there's a flare. You had everything, and you had a kind of a legit route tree, didn't you?
Yeah, everything pretty much stemmed from the option route where they isolated me on a linebacker who was usually bigger and slower. I kind of got the necessary depth to get the first down, go out, make a move, and I was the first option on the play. And I was able to excel on that. And from that one option route, they added other things that I could use and maybe get, kind of as a change-up.
When you were at Tatum High School, was Coach Crawford there?
No.
It was
Conway.
James Conway.
Yeah.
I walked into a practice while I was working in television. First time I'd ever seen Larry. I heard about Tatum football. That team that you had at the time, and of course Tatum's had their great runs before, Travian Smith?
Travian was behind me. I was with Larry Horton.
Larry Horton, who played at A&M.
Yes.
Played in the NFL.
Yes, at the Chicago Bears.
And then you, and then there was Travian Smith, and obviously some others along the way. When did you know you were good enough to play at that level? At not Tatum High School, which was high, but you had a future, a career in football.
Well, I really never really knew, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, I had some downtime and some things that didn't work out well for me. But once I got in training camp and I was able to assess the talent around me, I had a really strong feeling that I belonged and that I could make it happen at this level. So it took me getting all the way to training camp for me to really kind of gain that confidence that I needed to have a good career.
89, Stephen F. Austin, Georgia Southern, national championship.
Yep.
Damn it, that was close.
I know, man. 3 points short. We threw 5 interceptions that game, and that was the difference in the ball game. But we were a great team, and I still keep in touch with a lot of those guys today, and they're my lifelong friends.
Did you, when you come out of SFA, a smaller program, into the NFL, even the 80s was maybe a little bit different than it is now, did you have that chip on your shoulder that you had to prove something more, or was it intimidating? What was it like?
I definitely had somewhat of a chip on my shoulder. I was a younger brother growing up, and my older brother was pretty good player at Longview High School. And so, I was always his little brother. And, just getting the opportunity, I always wanted the opportunity to prove myself and make a name for myself individually. And so I was always climbing up the hill. Now, that's there's no better motivator than that for me.
Donnie Centers.
Yep.
Arkansas.
Yep.
He was kind of a wide open. He was a big play guy.
He was a phenomenal athlete, 4'4" guy. I think he 6'8", 6'9", high jumper. Had great hands, and he was just a phenomenal athlete. He just had a hard time putting it together in Arkansas, and just didn't work out for him.
One of the last times, you remember one of the last times I saw you?
No.
Weren't we playing golf up in Dallas?
Where were we?
It wasn't Dallas Country Club. It was with the guy from Henderson. He was a businessman from Henderson, and we met him it was a golf. We played. I think you might have maybe accidentally beat me that day. You were pretty good. I got the memory. I can go back a little bit.
I used to live in Phoenix where I played every day, So
this was after.
So I was pretty good back then.
Yeah, I know. I would have known that. I might not have wanted to bet you that day. But we met, and it was an exclusive, high-level country club up in Dallas. We played a round of golf together.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I remember that. I don't remember who we played with, though, but I remember meeting you for a round of golf.
So you mentioned your real estate portfolio. You're doing this thing tonight, this event tonight. Your family. Did you miss the game when you got out of the game? Do you ever have that itch, or is that gone from your system?
Well, to answer your question, I missed it a little bit, but I was fortunate enough to have such a long career that I was pretty much getting burned out on the game. I needed to get away from the game and kind of debrief. It's a lot of pressure for a long time. The injuries started to pile up. And so my mind was pretty cluttered with all the football stuff that I had accumulated over the years. So I needed some time to get away, and that kind of helped me distance myself toward the end.
You had the record for receiving yards as a running back and yards from the scrimmage. Did anyone ever talk to you about the Pro Football Hall of Fame, at least being nominated for that?
I've been nominated every year that I've been eligible, and that's something I'm proud to talk about. But always a bridesmaid, never a bride, as they say.
Well, this year Chuck Halley, who played in the 60s and 70s with the Cowboys, is finally getting in from the Veterans Committee. So there's going to be, you never know.
Well, as the game continues to evolve toward the running backs being more an integral part of the passing game, I think that I'll eventually get more consideration. And, the people who vote, they need to watch more film.
Yeah.
That would be my advice. And I'm super proud of what I was able to accomplish with the opportunities that I was given. And as you know, you don't control the amount of opportunities that you get.
What would you do in today's game?
Man, I would be phenomenal in today's game. I think I would be illegal. They would probably have to change some of the rules.
They would tiger-proof the game, huh?
They would have to, man, because now
Larry Centers proof.
The defensive players are very limited in how they can approach the offensive guy. So it's so much easier to run over a guy and kind of misuse him. They have to wait and see what you're going to do before they launch. And, I was a guy who liked to attack the defender.
Yeah, you were physical. Well, you could outrun somebody if you needed to, run around him, but you could run over him too.
Especially with the way, though, like if you just look at the 49ers, the way that they use Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey and, switch them and where they line up, like you lining up all over the field, I would think it would have been a field day for you.
Yeah, that would have been the system that I would have really liked to be in. The 49ers, where they move the guys around, they allow them to do different things, and that creates matchup problems. And I like to think that even during the time that I played, that I was a matchup nightmare for a lot of defensive coordinators.
Well, look, the picture we talked about against the Cowboys, as good as those teams were, they didn't really have a Larry Centers answer. You were a matchup nightmare for those guys in the system they played, and they were the dynasty of the time. I remember growing up as a Cowboys fan watching it. I knew that if they're playing the Cardinals, I'm like, Larry Centers could probably have a good day. They just he kind of has their number.
Yeah, I did create a few matchup problems. I was, in a lot of cases, a little too quick for the linebackers and a little strong for the defensive backs. So that tweener position really boded well for me throughout my career.
Darren Woodson, former Cowboys safety, another guy that's been considered for the Hall of Fame. He's doing something here with Sleep Number. He was here, talked to him for a second, and I mentioned that we had you coming up. He said, that's a good dude right there. And he was one of the best when you played the game, wasn't he?
Absolutely. I have nothing but respect for him, probably as much as a man as I do as a player.
Yeah.
But he was an awesome football player.
Has everything been good for you since you quit football, since you retired from football?
Everything, not everything. Everything is never all good. It's good, but it can always be better. But I've had some good times. Things have gone well for me for the most part. And I'm as happy as I've probably ever been right now.
What would you suggest to a young player who's in the league, making the money they're making? I know there's always the pressure of that, saving it, keeping it, making sure that when they're done, they can then do what you're doing right now, which is relax a little bit and just kind of take care of everything on cruise control.
The hardest part, Smokey, man, is being very, try not to help everybody. You can't help everybody because you end up spreading yourself too thin. And then when and if the situation arises that you need help, then very few of those people can help you. So that would be my advice. Kind of keep a lot of things close to the vest. Take care of the people that, that help you get to where you are. But, don't be too philanthropic. To the point of your own destruction.
Did you have those who thought you should help them, then all of a sudden?
There's not many players that I know that I played with who didn't have people that
hangers on,
people that thought that maybe you had enough to help them through and finance their dreams and things like that. But when it comes down to it, you have your own situation that you got to take care of, and especially you have to consider the long-term effects of doing too much for other people.
So are you going to go up tonight? Are you going to do material tonight? Or are you going to get
yes.
up? You are? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how long do you get ready for when you do these things?
I toss the ideas around in my head for some weeks.
Okay.
But
how often do you get to go up on stage?
We only do it once a year.
You only do it once a year.
Yeah, at the Super Bowl.
Okay. So you have plenty of time to prepare.
Absolutely. Yes.
You don't run around like you should do a couple open mics. Just run in, pop in an open mic.
I'm not ready for open mic yet. I'm not.
I'll tell you.
I'm not sure I can come back from
Hey,
bombing.
Eminem
like
wasn't even ready for open mic.
It's like, let me tell you, open mics are either the best thing or the worst thing because sometimes you'll go in, it'll be you and a couple other comedians, and depending on where they are, and somebody says, "Get open mic night," great, I'll just go and say this in front of an audience, and then sometimes it's a guy and he plays like a really sad guitar song in front of you, and then you go like, great. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. I got to go up here and tell jokes. But I'm curious as to how you do it. It takes, there's some discipline. There's some stuff I know you got to go through. And it's this, like, my thing is this only funny to me. Like, I may be the only person in the world who thinks this is funny.
That is my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Trying to say something that's funny to me, but everybody else is not quite entertained at it.
Yeah.
So
that's the one. But, look, no fear on it. Like, the thing I always remind myself is like, look, I'm up here and you're out there. So like, again, I owe you a good show and a good effort. But again, you coming up here, it's not, like if I booed at a football game, you're like, that's great. You come down here and you try to run through Darren Woodson. Like, you do it.
Yeah, I used to say that to hecklers in the stands. Hey, if you came down here and put these pads on, you probably, have stuff running down your leg.
I was going to say they'd pee on themselves.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see one time. Like, look, we've got plenty of extra equipment. It's an NFL team. Yeah. We'll throw some. You can come out and warm up with us for 10 seconds, and you tell me if you want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
When you played every game, no matter how deep into your career, did you get butterflies?
No, no, not at all. Not late. And when I was a young player, and I remember getting butterflies when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, the butterflies went away. I played football for a long time, and so you just back to the top. You just focus on what the task at hand is, what I'm trying to accomplish today, and you get ready to meet that challenge, and the butterflies kind of faded away from me.
As long as you played the game and you were, you survived the game physically. The benefits you hear about, they're better now. They could be better. They could be a lot better. Did the NFL take care of you?
To some degree, I get my benefits, but again, I played for a long period of time, so my pension package is probably better than most, 14 seasons, but, it can always be better, especially from an insurance perspective. I see some sad stories of guys who play a long time and they get these injuries and they end up having to spend a lot of the money that they made on trying to have a better quality of life. And that's a sad situation. I'd like to see the NFL make more of a commitment to the well-being of the people who gave it all out on the field.
You mentioned that you do comedy once a year at the Super Bowl. When did that start, and why and how did you get involved?
It was we were at a charity golf tournament here in Arizona, and me and a few guys, Andre Reed and a couple of Bubby Brister, a few other guys sitting around the fire, and we came up with the idea, and we turned it into something that that was able, we were able to put it together and entertain people. People enjoyed it, and so we've continued to do it every year.
It is tonight, Locker Room Laughs. You can go to lockerroomlaughs.com for more information. I will be there.
Okay.
I'm going to come out there and see you. Let's see. You've got Lewis Johnson.
Billy D. Washington.
Jake Plummer, who's been around here a little bit. Obviously, Larry Centers, among others. Michael Bankston. Yeah, okay, I remember Michael Bankston is a part of and Frank Sanders is going to be a part of that as well.
Yeah.
I will be out there. I'll be watching.
Don't be one of those hecklers in the crowd, Smokey.
How long have we known each other? Since
forever.
80s?
Ever, man. I remember you coming. You were with the station in Tyler, I think.
KLTV Channel 7.
I remember you coming out to my house and interviewing me, man. Way back, you were one of the first real interviews that I did.
You know what? Yesterday we had Bobby Taylor on, and he said the same thing.
Yeah.
Because those are my man. I miss those years.
Yeah, you were East Texas sports, man.
Thank you.
Point blank.
Appreciate
period.
that, man.
You still are in a lot of ways. A lot of people's heart.
Well, I love what I do, and I know you love what you do, and you do it well. Larry Centers, everybody. Again, Tatum High School, Stephen F. Austin, played for a national title, Hall of Fame candidate as well. most of his career with the Cardinals and a great friend. Great to see you. Thanks for coming down.
Great to see you, Smokey.
Larry Centers, Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoke, and this is 365 Sports.